Okay.
Good morning. Come back to the program of Dhamma for Life from the page of Wat Dhamma Washington, USA. The page of Wat Panya Putta Panya Nantaram, Vancouver, Canada. Also, good morning, everybody. Good evening, Thailand. Those who are watching to the program. So the day after tomorrow will be a day of Valentine Days, which is one of the favorite celebration days in USA. Belong to originally Saint, one of the priests or the Saint Valentine. Today we're going to talk about what did Buddha say, or what does the Buddhism view of a Valentine Day, or about love, and how do the Buddhists celebrate Valentine Days. Back to around 2,500 years ago, the Buddha left his family to go on a journey to eradicate the suffering for himself and for everyone else, maybe once and for all. It doesn't sound very romantic, right? Because it's not about a love. Maybe not. However, his decision on that day changed the course of his life forever. And it has been a great life for himself and for everyone else who follow his steps. What the Buddha has achieved after leaving his family can really inspire us to celebrate the Valentine Days in a more mindful and different way. We Buddhists do not accept a romantic love the way we do. For them, there's one universal love that is given to all human beings, and not really an intimate love felt for just only one person. What is the Buddhist perspective? Ordinarily, love is narrow, closed mind, and really fickle. As long as your love is ordinary, your narrow mind will keep singling out one object. So you are the only one for me, my only object of love and compassion. So actually this earth contains really countless atoms, but you choose only one. You're saying, I love you, I love this atom. That sounds very sweet, but that's such a silly mind, completely silly. There are countless atoms throughout all of the space, but tied by attachment, you're squeezing my shoes only one. So then whenever you encounter another atoms, you feel really insecure. That is an ordinary love of the people, or we call it in Buddhism is Putushona. One of the one of Mahayana teacher in Tibetan Buddhist or the Tibetan Buddhism. His name is Lama Yeshe. Used to explain that our focus is constantly aimed at one person, maybe one atom. If we are in a relationship, we really expect so much from only one person and focus solely on them. And if we are single, we might feel lonely and wish there was a one atom on what we could focus our love. And that sound right. It might be challenging to find a middle way when we talk of love. When it comes to the love, since it's really intense emotion that can reinforce with the mental activity. Nonetheless, reflecting on what the Buddhists believe can help us love differently. So, in the eyes of the Buddhist, we have Maitri. It's really authentic and pure love. Maitri, you may not sound very familiar, but when I talk metta, metta is authentic and very pure love. It means to feel compassion, kindness, goodwill, and love towards all human beings equally, without any exception, including our partners. We are not saying that we should leave our partner like a Buddha did to focus on the rest of the humanity. But the Buddha story is really a motivation to broaden our perspective and distribute our love equally to all. So if you by chance read the story of the Buddha, especially at the beginning of the Buddhahood, you will feel so much touched with what the love is actually. Of course, it may not sound very romantic because there is no romantic in the Buddhism. It's a true life. It's not a dramatic life, but it's a life. There's something that you have to carry on forever, including a love. In a real life, this is rather challenging since our love tend to be a condition and driven by our ego. So a Valentine Days may cause really misery for somebody because we so much expect too much from just one single person, right? When we forget about other people or atoms, we directly apply too much pressure on our partner. Simultaneously, we feel really pressure too. Anything in which we pour an excessive amount of the energy, it can lead to harm or to hurt. I like to compare the love inside us to a bottle of water. If we pour an entire large bottle into one single glass, the water will spill over. But if we distribute the water equally into many glasses, all the glasses will be well filled without water overflowing or spill. That makes sense to me, and I think it makes sense for everybody. That is about love, the boundless love. So if we wish to celebrate love on a Valentine Day, maybe it can be every day, not only today or day after tomorrow that will be a Valentine Day in United States. The Buddha way that we can celebrate, we should practice the merit called metta or maitri. If we can practice the metta or maitri, that will be really a wonderful celebration of Valentine Day. That means you are distributing your love, your metta, unconditional love to everybody. That brings about so much peace, radiating love to everyone, regardless of what we receive from them or we receive nothing. It's really miraculous. By all means, there are degrees to our love. What we give our partner may be more special, unique, or more intense, but we still remember others. So how can we distribute the love within us? When we see others as ourselves, it is no longer tough to give them something. Everyone else are seeking for the happiness, including ourselves. So actually everybody needs the happiness equally. And that's how we can have a sense of distribution of love to everyone equally. So long as there is a me and you, we will never be able to move beyond the barriers of our own mind. So what we have to eradicate first is we have to eradicate me, you, I, my. What is separated from us is naturally our enemy. This is why reflecting on oneness is of a great benefit. The best way, at least for me, and I hope everyone else could do on the Valentine Day, sit down, relax, and meditate to distribute all the loveness, loving kindness, especially what we call it, Maitri or Metta, to be oneness of ourselves and everyone else around us. So you have a big sense of unity, a big sense of kindness because you are one. Everybody is as oneness. The meditation, especially a samatha or a concentration meditation, taught me a lot how to love. Because in the meditation, you are focusing to one particular object. And that's how your mind focusing and penetrating to the object that you are trying to follow or focus as. And when your mind become oneness with the object, that's how you can apply the meditation to your loved one. You will have a sense of stability, a sense of honesty to only one object, and this is your loved one. And if you can do this for everyone, and that's how your love life, your family will be full of love, full of maitri, full of metta, because you are focusing on her, on your loved one, on your family. You are so much honest about your loved one, about your children, about your family, with the sense of concentration, and that you can learn how to do that from the practice the meditation. And that's why the meditation is one way to distribute a loving kindness unlimitedly. Buddhists call this as, in Mahayana Buddhism, they call this as the bodhicitta, or awakened heart or mind, a mind that is fully dedicated to others. Remember Lama Sopa Rinpoche from Tibet? He mentioned that it might be the best medicine for all our illness. What does this mean? It means to let go of the thought of I and my. The false sense of self, so we can be able to cherish others. It means in Buddhism, in Mahayana or the Tibetan Buddhism, is the bodhicitta, means to seek the enlightenment for the sake of others. It is the source of the liberation and the happiness, true happiness, actually. That means we can make it our purpose to bring the happiness to other human being. And we can alleviate their suffering in any way that possible. but it's not possible when we are attached to only one person. But you have a sense of the honesty to the one you are love. But you don't want to attach to only one. But you're supposed to practice the loving kindness or metta to everybody. If we try to practice the metta or maitri to develop the bodhicitta mind, I convinced it will be really automatically transform our romantic relationship to the liberation. It's it sounds like when you filling the other people glasses from our inexhaustible bottle will in fact transform our relationship. And that sound very romantic relationship in terms of the world of love for the ordinary people or the Putuchana. And that's to me is really make a full sense when I read up the story of the beginning life of the Buddha. That means the Buddha was really initially at the night of the journey from the palace to a forest, was seeking for the true happiness for his family, of course, beginning for his life. When we're talking of giving a happiness, you have to be first person to be happy. And then if your life is full of happy, and that's how you can give to another. You cannot just give anything that you don't have. You must have it first and then you can give. And that is what about maitri or metta or happiness. So it was a really right, perfect decision for the Buddha that left the family and seeking and searching out for a true happiness, and that he intend to giving or distribute the happiness to everyone else by teaching what he discovered, the Four Noble Truths, the dependent origination, the way to end the suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path. Those are the tools that the Buddha fundamentally discovered during the journey, and he succeeded. And that's how he was considered as the most happy man in the world. And that's how the Buddha word means the one who knows, the ones who are awake, the one who bliss. And that was a great prize for him, for himself, and for everybody else, for the world. Back into his family when he returned after he enlightened, and then he returned to the family with the full of smile after he explained the reason to his family's member, including his father and his wife, and also his son Rahul. And that makes a very, very beautiful smile of love on the face of all the members of the family. Make everyone else understood the reason of the journey, of his journey. So that one of the aspect in the Buddhism when talking about a love on the Valentine days. So reading the story of the Buddha, giving a really wonderful background that can really motivate the people learning how to love, learning how to practice the love. And the life with the Buddhist love can be really a beautiful life. If the art and science to love life successfully. Even though there's one teaching of the Buddha that the love is like a poison, but that what he was to try to make the people understand that if you don't understand the love, if you don't understand the true love, that love can be a poison. And the family can be really danger because we don't understand what the true love is. It should be really unconditioned, and that the meaning of the metta or the loving kindness that you can actually assume or really resume your love life if you practice the metta, maybe using the meditation as the way to generate the really energizing love, which is called metta bhavana, the development of the loving kindness through the process of meditation. And that is really so much practiced in Mahayana Buddhism. Remember that the Dalai Lama used to say, love is my religion. if you don't know the love, if you don't understand the love, if you don't really knowing what the true love is, the love can be really make you a sad story, make everyone cries, can make everybody of your family cry, disappointed, and that can hurt, can harm the world. You cannot expect anybody around you to love you back until you giving the love first, and that's how the love come back to you simultaneously. So what is you supposed to do at the very first place when you're thinking of love? You have to give first. You have to distribute your love equally, and that's how you get a full of love from everybody else around you. It's a karmic, very, very karmic action of love. If you want love, you have to love first. It's the same karmic law that when you do something, you will get always something. When you're doing good, you will get the good. When you do bad, you will get the bad effect. Same thing with love. When you give love, you will get love. That is very simple karmic law or a karmic action in the Buddhism that we all Buddhists believe. That's one article. That's one article that I brought today. I would like to simply read to you so that you can get the idea of the Buddhist Valentine. In the article that was maybe many Western Buddhists also wrote about the love in the Buddhism. But one of the article that really touched me is the article from the Dalai that the Dalai Lama has composed. It's the love poems of the sixth Dalai Lama. So what he say is, if one thought towards the spirituality were of the same intensity as though towards love, one would become a Buddha in this very bodily, in this very life. So what does he mean is that the Valentine Day is actually one of many favorite American holidays. But the fact is that the heart center, if over commercialized day, fall around The sometimes as Tibet New Year reminds him to make New Year's resolution relating to those I love and renew my commitment to cultivating the goodness of heart. This resolution usually involve opening our heart and mind, listening to everyone else around you. It really give you a great benefit. Learning to forgive and to love even those who we don't like, and coming to accept and bless the world rather than fighting with it or trying to escape from it. This was the the expand explanation of one of the Zen master called Dorjen. He said that to study the Buddha way is to be intimate with all things around you. Maybe some say we are here in this world to learn and to evolve in it consciously. Certainly, primarily amongst life lesson is how to love and to love well and to be loved as well, to give and receive it. We all believe love is central to happiness, growth, and fulfillment. And then the question is, how would the Buddha love? By seeing every single being, human and otherwise, as a fundamentally like himself, and thus able to treat them, everyone else, and love them in the way that we would be treated. So we call this infinitely be benevolent, a selfless love. In the Mahayana or in the Tibetan Buddhism, they call it bodhicitta, that I already mentioned earlier. It means awakened heart, awakened mind, that really spirit on, that's really a spirit of the what we call it enlightenment of the Buddha, or even everybody. It has become a really pure spirit of love, of enlightenment. One can find this thought beautifully in. I used to read one of the sutra. It's called Metta Sutra, in Loving Kindness Sutra, in the Shanti Deva classic, the way of the Bodhisattva in the artificial mind, that is mind training and attitude transformation. There are 37 practices of bodhicitta, as well as in the Old Testament also that appear about, and it's very similar. It seems to be very common teaching about love, regardless the religions. It appear in the Bible also, the Old Testament, and also it become modify into the 37 practice of the Bodhisattva in the Mahayana. And it's more explained in the Maitreya Sutra in the Theravada Buddhism. So each relationship and every single encounter can be a vehicle for a meaningful spiritual connection to a transformative magic of the teaching of the Buddha or the Bodhicitta Buddha that taught the spiritual love had 4 active arms known as the 4 boundless heartitude and the 4 expressive force known as the 4 forms of the compassion in action. And that is how we love the Buddha style, impartial to all, free from excessive attachment or false hope and expectation, accepting, tolerant, and forgiving. Buddhist non-attachment doesn't imply the complacence or indifference or not having a committed relationship or being passionately engaged with the society, but rather has to do with our effort to defy change and resist the facts of impermanence and how mortality by holding on to that which is any case is forever slipping through our finger. So we just get a rope burn sometime. Buddhist love is based on recognizing our fundamental interconnectedness and knowing that all beings are like ourselves in wanting and needing happiness, safety, fulfillment, and not wanting suffering and misery. That's the aim. That is all human being wants. We are all the same. We are all searching for the same. So if we contemplate, if we consider this way and accept it, that means everyone else needs love, needs equal love. That is a really recognition, very true recognition of love in the Buddhism. So that's one. I remember one Dalai Lama say, if you want to be wisely selfish, care of others, all the happiness and the virtue in this world come from the selflessness and generosity. All the sorrow from the ego, selfishness, and greed. That is very inspiring me, and I hope it's really inspiring everybody for the sense of love on the Valentine Day. The immaculate image of the Buddhist love is is the forearms. It's the forearms of the Avilokitesavana ในภาษาไทยเราเรียกว่าอากิโลกิเตสวน known as the Jackris in the Tibet and maybe they call it Guanjin in Chinese language ในภาษาไทยเราก็คือพระอวรกิเตสวนเมตริยะ Each one of his four arms is represent one of the four boundless attitude, and each one of her four radiant face of or aspect is a peaceful magnetizing the powerful and the fives express one of the four style and maybe considered as the most of active composition. We might, for example, think of the Buddhist spirituality as a peace-loving calm. The virtuous and maybe non-violent, but in the case of a child or a pet that's running into the street, the active side of the composition calms heart, spontaneously blessed forth, even as the loving center remain unchanged. So the selfless bodhisattva could possibly use the force for the greater good to protect or to prevent the harm and so forth, and need not to be positive in the face of a danger or when there is need for the skillful appropriate action. That has very powerful, force of love when you thinking of the boundless love. We call in Theravada Buddhism as appamanya. The first arm of the Buddhist love is a metta or maitri, loving kindness, a boundless sensation or boundless feeling of a friendly, a boundless feeling of oneness, a boundless feeling of the friendliness, wishing well for others. Metta or maitri is a Pali language that really implies the friendliness, befriending and accepting yourself, your body and your mind and the world. That is the first arm of the Buddhist love. The second arm is a karuna or a compassion, the empathy, being moved by feeling what others feel. And the third arm is it's a ubekha, the equanimity, that recognizing the equality of all that life. This recognition leads to the wisdom of detachment, but not in a difference or compliance with all that is maybe a near enemies. And the fourth arm is the mudita. It's different in order if you are listening to me closely. In Theravada Buddhism, the order is Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Ubekha. But in the Tibetan or in the Mahayana, Avalokitesvara tradition, they have 4 arms. The first arm is Metta or Maitri. The second arm is Karuna. The third arm is a Ubekha, and the fourth arm is a Mudita, which is different in orders. The fourth arm, which is a Mudita, is a spiritual joy and a satisfaction. This includes rejoicing in the virtue, in the success of the authors, the antidote to envy and jealousy. The essence of the Buddhist relationship is to cultivate the cling-free relationship that could be enriched with the caring and the equanimity. It is very helpful in an intimate relationship in communicate honesty, stay present, telling the truth of your experiencing using a statement rather than the execution and judgment, and honor the author enough is to show up with the open heart and mind and be really listening to the author's opinions. That make very powerful sense of love once you have to encounter the relationship. You know, it can make a passion become compassion. It can change one need to be a common need. That is what I talk about. Transform the passion into compassion.ความรักในพุทธศาสนามันคือการเปลี่ยนความต้องการส่วนตัวให้เป็นความต้องการส่วนรวมนั่นคือการเปลี่ยน passion ให้เป็น compassion นั่นคือความรักที่กระจายออกไปความสุขที่กระจายออกไปทุกๆคนไม่เลือกว่าเป็นศัตรูหรือมิตรไม่ว่าเป็นคนที่เรารักหรือคนที่เราเคยเกลียดหรือกำลังเกลียดอยู่เราสามารถเปลี่ยนความอยากหรือความต้องการของเราซึ่งเป็นเฉพาะตนให้เป็นความต้องการของทุกๆคนได้นี่คือเราเปลี่ยน passion ไปเป็น compassion เปลี่ยนความต้องการส่วนบุคคลความอยากส่วนบุคคลให้เป็นความกรุณา compassion กลายเป็นว่าความต้องการที่เราได้ความต้องการที่เรามีแล้วสิ่งของที่เราได้มาเท่าไหร่เรากระจายออกไปโดยที่เราเข้าใจว่าทุกๆคนก็มีความต้องการเหมือนเราเกลียดทุกข์ต้องการความสุขเช่นเดียวกันเพราะฉะนั้นกระบวนการของความรักในพุทธศาสนามันคือการเปลี่ยนความต้องการให้เป็นความกรุณา passion to compassion what we bring into the path when we recognize every moment in life any possibility of awakening human love and a sexual consummation can be like the tip of an iceberg of a divine love and the aesthetic intimation of the eternity a portal to the infinite depth of the groundlessness and boundarylessness that transports us beyond our limited ego self so people often ask that how to find their soulmate or even if I believe in such a concept that I think that rather than focusing on the past life or on finding the perfect mate in this world we would generally do better to work on improving and developing ourselves making yourself a perfect mate without being too perfectionistic there's nothing perfect is a perfect actually that is very common we are all suffer we are all sharing the suffering we are all must also sharing the happiness that make very strong sense of nothing is perfect but we can develop we keep on improving we keep on developing our life by understanding the truth of the life for everybody that need love that need happiness and trying to avoid from suffering so you will be really good mate for yourself you will be a really good mate for everybody else if you having a true love transforming your passion into compassion when your heart is pure your life and your entire world is pure ถ้าจิตใจของเรามันบริสุทธิ์เต็มเปี่ยมไปด้วยความรักในคัมภีร์ทางพุทธศาสนาบอกว่าชีวิตเราแล้วก็โลกของเราก็จะบริสุทธิ์เต็มเปี่ยมไปด้วยความรักเช่นกัน because we are all feel desire to possess and be possessed to love to be loved to connect to be connected That's what the human being life needs. However, we think that the most important thing to be in being together is a tenderness of a good heart. If our relationships are not nurturing the growth and the development of the goodness of heart, openness, generosity, authenticity, and intimate connection, they are not serving us or further a better world. There will be a big problem. There will be demolishing of the world. The truly love people that I used to learn that I need to let them be on your imperfections, and I have to learn to accept it, to love, accept, and appreciate them as they are. That's a free of projection, the free of my projection and illusion, and not as how we would like them to be. This is equally true for loving and accepting oneself. There is a writing of the Pante Hanipola Goratana. He wrote that the 8th mindful step to happiness, whatever the attitude he habitually use towards ourselves, we will use on another. And whatever the attitude that we habitually use towards the other, we will use on ourselves. The situation is comparable to our serving food to ourselves and to other people from the same bowl. Everyone ends up eating the same thing. We must examine carefully what we are dishing out. This is very, very beautiful writing from Pante Hernipola Guratana, and I would like to end up my talk today with his word. And I wish everybody happy Valentine's Day in advance, the day after tomorrow on Monday. I wish everybody happy. Wish everybody, the world happy and safety. Thank you very much for listening to this program, and then we will come back to see you again next Saturday early morning. Goodbye.